Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. How's it going, everybody? I hope you guys are doing great. I know that my day is going pretty good. So how's it going, man? Check this out. Today we got another chapter in store for you that we're going to be reading, and it's from the book The Cosmic Power Within You, this book right here. And we've been going on this series of this book here for quite a few days now, and we're up to chapter 10, man. You know what I mean? Go figure. You know what I mean? Chapter 10, and man, there has been a whole lot of very, very good and encouraging stories coming out of this book. And like I mentioned before, this book has been selected to be into the Library of Congress. And for those of you, kind of give you this little background on the Library of Congress. Well, the Library of Congress has books in there that are chosen through some board, and I'm not sure exactly who the board consists of, but what I do know is that in that board and in that process of choosing what books go into the Library of Congress, if your book makes it there, is that particular book, whatever it may be, is got important information that the board feels will be that it's helpful and needs to be saved for generations to come. Okay, so in other words, they think that book needs to be stored and preserved for future generations. Can you imagine that? You know what I mean? It's almost to me like having the Dead Sea Scrolls. Let's just say that, you know, these scrolls that they found in ancient times are preserved now in museums, that they're still deciphering what these things say, and that's how a lot of the stories in the Bible were confirmed, through these scrolls that they found, and that it's actual documented, you know, something that somebody wrote, right? And so they have these books in the Library of Congress, and they're chosen, and another thing is that they part of the board is that they have a theological note in there, in a sense, like it's a divinity. It's like divine, kind of like history, if you will, and they just think that whatever book goes into the Library of Congress is good enough to save, so that somebody, you know, 10,000 years from now will still be, you know, looking at the book, or helping where we come from, what we did, and how things work, and this particular book is just amazing to me, because I'm all about one of my favorite subjects is the subject of the mind, the brain, and do in there, I guess, because at one point in time in my life I had brain surgery done, right? So I couldn't walk at one point in time in my life. After I had that brain surgery done, I couldn't walk. I didn't have use of my legs, and so it just really intrigued me how the brain works, and what can you do to preserve the brain, and what can you do to have a healthy brain lifestyle with a good brain intact, I guess. You know what I mean? But one of the things is that, you know, a lot of people used to think that, well, when you the older you get, the more you forget, and it just, you know, things start, you know, just getting worn out, in a sense. You know what I mean? But it's now scientifically proven that you can revamp your brain. Your brain is a muscle, just like the muscles on your arms, your legs. If you work them out, guess what happens? They regenerate, they get big, they get healthy, and that sort of thing, if you feed it what it's supposed to have, right? And in turn, the brain is the same way. if you feed your brain a bunch of good, positive things, and what I mean by that is if you have a good mental thought process in as far as having positive and encouraging and spiritual cosmic things that you think about, well, that's how you map your mind out. You know what I mean? It's like if if there's a hot stove and if I touch the if the stove is on, it's got a skillet on there, and I touch that skillet while it's on, I know that it's hot. You know what I mean? How do I know that? Because when I was a young kid, I touched the pan as it was on the stove and I burnt my hand. So I know that when there's a pan up there and the thing is on, that I better not touch it because I'm gonna burn myself. And you know, the thing is that since that is ingrained since a long time ago into my subconscious mind, it's always there. It's like a default kind of thing. So now I know if I don't touch a hot pan on a stove because it's gonna burn my hand, and I don't like the way it feels. You know what I mean? I cried when that happened. So it's that's the similar that's kind of how it is to remap your mental thought process. And in other words, if you can clean slate your mind, you know what I mean, and plant new seeds in there, if you will. And by doing this is that you do things on a conscious and repetitive basis. So if you have nothing but spiritual and positive and joyful and happy thoughts coming into your mind, well then guess what your actions are going to be? They're going to be exactly that. And that means that when you're doing this, when you're thinking those things, guess what's coming out of your mouth? It's the same. It's all those happy, joyful, spiritual, you know, positive things that you're saying. And when you're saying that, you're letting this cosmic vibration of a voice come out, and it projects into the universe. And guess what happens? When you do this, this is like a boomerang effect. Whatever you speak, whatever you say, whatever you think, and comes out of your mouth, and in turn has this connection from the mind to the heart, and it comes out, and there are things that you say with soulful meaning to it, that is exactly what you're going to get back. You know, how long it takes to get it back, I have no idea. But I do know that when you do that, it works. And it's at the pace of nature, it's at the pace of your cosmic powers, of the divinity. It just depends, you know what I mean? It's some sort of metaphysical thing or something, you know what I mean? I'm not a theologian, or I'm not a scientist, but I do a lot of reading. And when I speak about things, I speak about the things that I read and about the things that I've personally experienced. And I'm here to tell you, I have personally experienced the manifestation, the law of attraction, in saying things and praying things repeatedly, you know, sometimes once a day, sometimes 10 times a day, sometimes, you know, twice a day. But it's a daily process that this is how I live my life. And man, things have been in the past 2 years that I could tell you, I have a 360 degree change from where I was living my life 2 years ago to where I am right now. You know what I mean? And it's just this crazy transformation. And to be honest with you, it's like you're actually like this editor of of this, of your own production studio in a sense. You are the editor of your life's movie. You know what I mean? Because what you have and what I have is one of the greatest gifts that our divine, God, as I call him, has given us. And this is the free will to pick and choose what goes into your brain, what goes into your subconscious mind, and you allow it to stay there, because things can go into your brain and your mental thoughts all day long. And you can just wish them on by, because that's what happens a lot of the times. But the ones that you pick and choose are the ones that are going to get ingrained in that subconscious, and those are the ones that are going to stay there. And unfortunately, since we live in such a toxic world, those are the ones that stay ingrained in there. So if you lived in this negative thought process all the time, like, oh man, I can't stand going to work, or man, I hate people, or man, I'm just not good enough, or that never happens for me, or gosh, I'm just I don't got a lucky bone in my body, or whatever. You know what I mean? If this is your mental thought process, if this is how you think, well, that's the kind of energy and things that you're projecting out into the universe, and those are the kind of things that you're going to get back. That's why you're still in this depressed state. That's why you're still angry all the time. That's why you're full of resentment all the time. That's why you're still bound down to a drug addiction. That's why you're still drinking today and you hate it. You know what I mean? Because I've been there, man. I've been there and I've done that. I've dealt with a lot of neurological brain disorders in the form of drug addiction, alcoholism, child traumatic experiences, PTSDs, anger, depression, suicidal thoughts. My friends, have dealt with all of those things at one point in time in my life. But I'm here today in the flesh, in the here and now, as happy as I've ever been in my whole life. You know what I mean? And I'm just grateful that I'm breathing today. I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that I'm doing this video podcast. I'm just grateful that I'm going to read you a little bit of this book. You know what I'm saying? So it's great, man. But yeah, so let's get into the book. And but I almost forgot. I always start my videos off with a moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers, and for those of us who are still bound down to the struggles that keep us bound down in the things that we deal with in our struggles in this world. And if you would please join me in a moment of silence followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers, and then we'll move on to the story. So a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All righty, well, let's get started. Let me remove these things because I can't read a thing without those. And I dropped my glasses, so I had to pick them up. So here we go. Got the glasses on, got the book out, and here we go. Chapter 10. And chapter 10 starts off like this with the title, The Cosmic Vision of Healthy Mindedness. It says, the Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish. It also says, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from hence cometh my help. Psalms 121:1. It says, I am sure your vision is directed toward perfect health, harmony, and peace. You can be absolutely convinced that the mental picture to which you remain faithful will develop in your subconscious mind and be made manifest consequently in your experience. Ask yourself as you read this chapter, where is my vision now? The answer lies in what you are mentally focused on right now. In other words, that to which you are directing your attention in your thought, feeling, and imagery. You go where your vision is, for attention is the key to life. The psalmist says, He maketh my feet like hinds, feet and set me upon my high places. Psalms 18:33. Herein lies a great psychological secret which teaches all of us how to climb. Read that one more time. Here lies a psychological secret which teaches all of us how to climb the high places of true vision. The hind is famous all over the world for her sure-footedness, for there is a perfect coordination of her rear feet and her front feet. This enables her to climb the highest mountain. As her rear feet track exactly where she has planted them, her forefeet is planted. This teaches each of us that the mind and heart must agree on one's personal aims for perfect health, abundance, and security. When the words of our mouth and the feeling in our heart agree, nothing will be impossible unto us, and we shall reach the heights. That's a pretty good introduction story, you know what I mean? That part, that story is kind of, to me, it's just like I was saying earlier, you know, that thought process of, you know, you learned how to walk since you were just this little bitty baby, right? And it's ingrained in your mind that this is how you walk. So it's automatic. It's like that's what's ingrained in your subconscious minds, that if you want to get from here to there, you know that those feet got to move, those legs got to move, and you don't even think about it. It's in your subconscious mind, and it's like automatically you're just like on autopilot, and you go there. But you can change it. You know what I mean? That's the thing, is that can be changed. So let's go on. It says, how cosmic vision pay fabulous dividends in health, wealth, and happiness. Mr. Frederick Ranke, who is a brilliant engineer, wrote me as follows. Dear Dr. Murphy, I have become a transformed man in the past 10 years. Prior to that time, I used to have constant colds and the flu every winter, and I used all manner of cold remedies. Furthermore, I suffered frequently from hemorrhoids, stomach ulcers, and spine troubles, all due, I know now, to stress, strain, suppressed rage, and resentment. I began to listen to your lectures about 10 years ago, and I learned that the law of my mind and realized what I was doing to myself. I began to focus my attention on the perfect health, on harmony in my business, and on divine right action in all my affairs. I forgave myself for harboring negative thoughts and decided to forgive and to release mental, all relatives, and all those who irritated me. I use this prayer frequently, and it goes like this. I walk in the light, that all good is mine. I am always at peace, poised, serene, and calm. The fullness of God is made manifest in all departments of my life. I constantly vision for myself and for others health, prosperity, and all the blessings of life. Goes on to say, I have been in perfect health for 10 years, and wealth has followed me, filling up the empty vessels in my life. I am deeply grateful. Frederick Ranke, President, FBCO Incorporated, Sun Valley, California. Goes on to say, I know Fred Ranke very well, and I am aware of many difficulties and challenges he has met and overcome in his life. Through his vision of the cosmic power and the attention to the sunshine of better life, to use his own words, the old Ranke died, the new Ranke, with his alignment with God, was born. Mr. Ranke's high vision has paid him fabulous dividends in health, wealth, and happiness. How the cosmic power revealed a life-saving idea. Dr. Lothar von Blank-Schmidt writes as follows. Dear Dr. Murphy, after reading your latest book, Your Infinite Power to Be Rich, which is my opinion is another outstanding work of yours, I would like to tell you what happened to me some time ago. As you know, we have an extremely high number of freeway accidents caused by people driving in the wrong way exit. After focusing my attention frequently on the matter of visioning a solution whereby people's lives could be saved, one morning as I awakened, the idea of a device of the complete outline of it popped up spontaneously into my conscious mind. This device will stop cars from entering the freeway ramp and wrong way, and will save countless lives. As required, I filled my invention with the company where I worked. After some study, I was informed that the idea was not feasible and was also impossible. I received a legal release. All of my associate engineers and physicists laughed at the idea and considered it doomed to failure from the beginning, just a waste of time, effort, and money. I applied for a patent on April 24th of 66, and a patent was granted from the United States Patent Office on August the 9th of 66 under the number 3266013 titled Freeway Safety Device. All my claims were accepted and no changes were made or infringement cited. Many firms are now jumping on the bandwagon saying, "We always knew you had something wonderful." I put a foundation under my castle in the air, and I had a vision of saving the lives of countless numbers of people from becoming physical and mental wrecks. Had I looked forward with faith and confidence to the realization of my vision, my subconscious mind responded and gave me the answer. You have my full permission to publish the letter in your forthcoming book. Sincerely, Lawler von Blank Schmidt. Dear Dr. Schmidt, a research engineer and physicist presently engaged in space research, is a profound student of the laws of mind. In his letter, he points out vividly, lucidly, that he saw only one thing: the open road to the realization of his goal and victory. His vision was truly on healthy mindedness for all. The next story is titled How the Cosmic Power Healed a Cripple. In November of 66, I gave a series of lectures at the New Orleans Unity Society in New Orleans, Louisiana. On my latest book, Your Infinite Power to Be Rich, referred to earlier in this chapter, one of the men present told me that some months previously he had been crippled with arthritis and was unable to bend his knees. One evening, a hold-up man came in and pointed a gun at his head and said, "Kneel down behind the counter." He replied, "I can't. I'm crippled with arthritis." The bandit said, "I'll give you 10 seconds to kneel down or I'll kill you." The man told me, "I bent my knees easily, gradually. I have gotten much better. My doctor says that the calcareous deposits are all gone and the suppleness and mobility of my joints have returned. How do you account for it?" This is a good question. I explained to him that there was a principle of healing involved, that if he had understood the principle, applied it, he could have been healed prior to the holdup. When he bent his crippled knees at the point of the pistol, it stands to reason that the power to bend his knees, to walk and to run, was always present within him, even though he believed otherwise. The cosmic power is always available, but man's fears, false beliefs, and misbegotten concepts hold him in bondage. In this instant, he was healed by the cosmic power within him, as quite obviously the pistol had no power to heal. He had been crippled for several years, he said, and he was unable to bend his knees, and all his attention and vision were bound up in his pain, aches, limitations, and physical handicaps. Suddenly, his attention was taken off himself and his ailment, and his vision was directed to save his life at all costs, as self-preservation is the first law of life. Immediately, he released the miraculous healing power that neutralized and dissolved everything unlike itself, ceased describing your symptom and being completely engrossed and absorbed in your ailment, or you will make matters worse. Deflect your aim in life and raise your sight. Let your vision be on perfect health and vitality, and you will begin to release the cosmic power instantaneously. Train and discipline yourself to raise your sights and to maintain the high vision. Chant the beauty of the good and keep looking up. The next story is titled The Miracle of Faith and Love. In Minneapolis, I lectured every evening for a week on the miracle of the mind dynamics at the Church of Divine Science, conducted by Dr. Vernon A. Shields, minister director. I talked to one of his parishioners who told me that about 6 months previously he had been stricken with coronary thrombosis and had collapsed on the street. An ambulance took him to the hospital where he received immediate treatment. The doctor frankly told him, however, that it looked hopeless and that probably he would not live more than a few hours. On hearing this man said to the doctor, "I'm going to live. My 2 sons need me. I won't die. I must live. I have so much to do. I love my children and they need me." He continued saying, "I felt as though a spiritual transfusion of some kind flowed through me. And at the end of the 10 days in the hospital, the cardiograph showed a normal heart. I got well because I rejected the negative prognosis and identified myself with the healing power of God." This man had a constructive vision and he held on to it. His inner vision of love for his children released the cosmic power of God and transformed his whole being, making him strong and perfect again. Faith in God and love for his children welled up within him, and the miracle of healing followed. How a mother's vision of healthy mindedness worked miracles for her son. Mrs. B. Ranke writes as follows: "Dear Dr. Murphy, my son, Fred Jr., was constantly being criticized by our relatives that he felt rejected, unwanted, and insecure. Frequently, he would go into a depressed state and become rebellious. I began to picture him as he ought to be, joyous, happy, and free. Every night and morning, I made it a habit to relax my mind and body, to close my eyes, and to mentally envision Fred saying to me, 'Mom, I'm happy and at peace. I feel wonderful and I am receiving wonderful marks in school.' As you have suggested so often, I made a joyous mental movie of my own in my mind, knowing that sooner or later, Fred would confirm objectively what I pictured and felt subjectively. Shortly after the mental process of my son, Fred decided to come to your lectures and began to imagine better grades in school, forgave himself for harboring negative, resentful thoughts toward his relatives, and regularly poured out love and goodwill to all of them. A miraculous transformation has taken place in his life since he started redirecting his thoughts and imagery. He is happy and free, and he is thrilled over the way he has overcome all obstacles and challenges he met. He has frequently confirmed objectively what I imagined him telling me subjectively. He is a communication specialist in Thailand now and is serving his country nobly and proudly. He has benefited greatly from the many years of listening to you. Today he is full of faith and confidence in the power of the God power within, which responds to his deep conviction. It is wonderful. Gratefully, Betty Ranke, Mrs. Ranke, California." It goes, the next story says, "You can rise in new confidence through the cosmic power within you." In the 3rd chapter of Acts is a wonderful story of a layman at the gate of the temple, beautiful. And Peter and John said to him, "Look on us." Peter took him away by right hand, and leaping up he stood, and he began to walk and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising God. See verses 4 and 8. Peter means faith in God, and John means love of God, or the good. Have faith and confidence in the qualities and attributes of God within you, and love in the sense that you wish all the blessings of your life for all men everywhere. Lift up your gaze and get a new vision of yourself, and the power of the Almighty will respond and enable you to rise, walk, and leap and praise the miracle working cosmic power within you. Alrighty, man. Well, that is chapter 10, man. Now, that was powerful to me. That was just really, really great. And I want to kind of go back in summarizing that first part, the very, very first thing that was in chapter 10. I'm going to reread it. It's not very long. And it says, the Bible says, where there is no vision, the people perish. That's in Proverbs 29:18. And just that alone, that little verse alone is just so powerful, because it goes back to what we've been talking about this whole time in this whole series of this book. Is it's all about the mind. You know what I mean? It's all about the mind. And again, it says where there is no vision, the people will perish. And you know, if you have no vision, if you don't know where you want to go, if you're stuck, if you're bound down to something, well then guess what that means? You have limited vision right now in your life. And with limited vision, guess what happens? You, like it says, people perish. People stay stagnant. People procrastinate. You stay in that same. It's like living it's like living your life in this wheel, like the hamster wheel. You're just moving and moving and moving, but not getting anywhere, because you're staying in that same negative thought process. But man, all it takes is one positive thought to get you started. Just one. You know what I mean? It takes one positive thought to get you started. It changes one environmental change in your life. I got to get out of hanging out with these people. I can't work here no more. You know, I can't be in this relationship anymore with this person that keeps, you know, abusing me verbally or physically, or, you know, they don't show no love. You know, I'm spinning my wheels here. You know, sometimes, you know, it's not pretty. Sometimes it's not pretty. You know, and I could attest for that. You know, sometimes moving forward means that you're gonna have to get in. You're gonna have to, you know, cross that dirty, you know, muddy water and get dirty for a minute. But I can guarantee you, when you get on the other side, something's better's waiting. I can guarantee you, if you cross that muddy water in that river, that it doesn't stay muddy forever, because that water keeps flowing. And when you decide to change, you decide to be open-minded, willing, and be truthful about what you want, where you want to go, what you want to do, that you'll start seeing the light. You'll start seeing the clarity. The smoke will start clearing for you, if you will. You know what I mean? And this is that chapter was just very powerful to me. And I can really, really, totally relate, because I can remember being in the world of addiction, man, that I was just engulfed in this black cloud that just wouldn't let me out, because that was all I thought about. I only thought about negative things, where I was going to get the next hit, who I was going to burn next, how I was going to get this money or whatever. You know what I mean? I worried about the girl that I was with. You know, that's what was keeping me bound down, until I decided, and when one day I got to change this. I can't keep living this way. And when I did that 360-degree change, people, places, and things, and was open-minded, willing, and truthful about what I wanted, man, things were amazing. It didn't start good. You know what I mean? It wasn't good because the first few months were terrible, but I kept at it. I kept at it, persistent on a daily basis, and with the help of my higher power, with the help of other people who were like-minded, thinking that they would love to help people and they were wanted good for somebody, and I'm grateful for everybody who touched my life in that journey and still continue to do that, and that is why I continue to do these videos and to share a message, because it would just be doing you guys and myself a disservice if I wouldn't. And but yeah, so I'm grateful, and man, what a powerful story, right? So I guess that's going to be it for today, man. I really appreciate you guys watching, for sticking with me this long, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed my posters. What's up? So yeah, but anyway, man, thank you for watching. If you would, please share my channel, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment, whatever. But hit that subscribe button, man, for sure, and share my channel, because this is the only way that I can get to more people, to spread the message and to help the addict who still suffers, and to help all of those people who are still bound down to a struggle, whatever that may be. And this whole purpose of doing this podcast is to give somebody a lift, a revamp, that spark that they may need, an encouraging word, maybe just to hear somebody who struggles too, you know what I mean, who understands and who's empathetic with life, because I've been there. I've gone through all those struggles and I understand. So yeah, so thank you, man. I appreciate you guys watching. And I guess until the next time, when the smoke clears, I am the Recovery Plug.